everybody. Welcome back to the Gamerpreneur podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Bradford Carlton. Today, we are talking about sales systems and processes, which sounds like a terribly boring title to make for a video, but I'm going to go ahead and do this because I want to do the reels material, right? I've done a lot of, we'll call it motivational, personal development content. And somebody pointed that out to me that I don't really kind of get into the nitty gritty of things. So, okay, we'll talk about nitty gritty, and it's boring. It's not incredibly thrilling, but it is what it is. So the thing about sales is you have to know what you're doing. Right? Like you can't necessarily just pick up the phone and then every single person that you call is going to go ahead and buy whatever from you. You have to have a system that goes from step one to step number whatever that you follow in order to make sure that you end up getting sales. Now, usually one of the very first things that you want to do is you want to know what it is you're selling. Now, it's not necessarily always the case. Sometimes you want to know who you're selling to first before you know what it is you're selling. And there's reasons for that, principally being that if you can find a large body of people who are milling about with their wallets in hand going, I want to buy something, I want to buy something. And I'm speaking metaphorically, of course. If you can find a large group of people who are fairly similar, who have a similar issue or problem that could be addressed by something, and you go off and find the thing that addresses it for them, you can sell that to them, and then you continue down the process. But it really depends on if you found the people first or if you have the product first, okay? If you have the product first, then you need to go find the people who need that product. So as an example, like financial services kind of products, say you're selling some type of life insurance. Well, there are demographics who are probably going to be more interested in certain types of life insurance than others. And you figure out what part of town they are in or what their phone number is, and you call those specific people up, okay? So either you start with the product, the thing or service that you're selling, or you start with the audience that you're hoping to sell to. After that, you have to find some way to get them to know who you are. All right. So a lot of people's number one issue when it comes to making money, not just sales, but making money that I've seen, is the fact that they're not promoting themselves in any meaningful way. And I see this a lot, honestly, kind of in like the esports space, and a lot in the gaming space. Other than the AAA games, the major publishers, I don't see a lot of advertising. You might see some here and there on different gaming blogs, but I mean, I also have ad blockers, but I have them turned off on most of my social medias because I want to be seeing what ads people are running. The point is, that's like number one. You can build it has the saying, you build a better mousetrap and the world will beat a path to your door. That's the saying, right? But that's not true if they don't know that you exist and that your better mousetrap exists. They have to know that you exist, and that comes in the form of marketing. Now, as you're marketing, you have to understand that people get marketed to a lot, right? Like I can pull out my cell phone, and if I went to Facebook and I just started scrolling, it'd be like every third or fourth post would be some sort of ad. And we'll be honest, right? We ignore those. Like on Twitter, it's so many posts, right? Their ads are everywhere. On YouTube, before every video, in the middle of every video, at the end of every video, there's ads. There's ads everywhere. So how do you break through that? You have to break through that. Like there's no option. It's not like, well, I'll find another way. No, you have to advertise or market. Advertising is a form of marketing, but you have to find a way that gets your ad to get people interested enough to take some action that moves them further down this sales system. Okay. You've got to hook their attention. You've got to stop them in their tracks. As they're sitting on the toilet scrolling, they're like, what's this? And they want to learn more about it, okay? That could be a headline. It could be a giveaway. What is it that's getting people interested in whatever it is you have, okay? Now, here's the thing. Most people don't necessarily buy the very first time they see something. They're going to see your ad. They're not going to hit the buy button the moment they see your ad. If they've never, ever heard of you before, they've never heard of the product or service you're selling, they have to get more information, right? Like you would, like if you're sitting there on the toilet and you're like, oh, that's particularly interesting. And you decide that like, I'm going to check this out. Well, you're going to go to their website, and on their website, you're going to read about them. And maybe you're going to go over to YouTube and check out some reviews, or you're going to go somewhere else and check out their social media, or, you're going to do something else, right? So you have to understand that you need some form of advertise or some form of PR out there as well. Like not just the sales page, you need other information out there that'll help solidify in the person's mind, that we call them a prospect, the prospect's mind, that they might want this thing that you're selling, whether it's a product or a service. Okay. Now, once you have their attention and they're interested, they've got enough information to justify making a decision. And this is important. People do not make decisions to purchase based on logic. It's not true. People don't go, well, the numbers make sense here based on my calculations and pull out an abacus. It doesn't happen. Okay. What they're going to do is they're going to be like, wow, this looks like the thing I need in order to solve the problem I have. And because that's why people buy most of the stuff they do. It's to solve some sort of problem or to make them feel good. And that's because they probably have some other problem, right? But we're going to set that aside. That your service or product has to solve some situation, some issues, some concern, something that they have. And so your sales copy, your sales video, everything that is trying to sell this person, whether it's online or radio or television, has to address that pain point. You got to like poke that pain point that they have with a stick. You let them know about the wonderful, beautiful life that they're going to have once they get your thing. And that's usually enough to make that emotional, like inside of them go, okay, I should get this. Okay. However, if you forget this next step, people will not buy from you. Okay. You have to ask. You have to ask for the sale. And I've worked with a lot of people over the years, and this is actually seemingly one of the hardest things I try to get people to do. For me, it wasn't hard. Like one day I was interviewing for a job at, I was leaving a court, going into private practice. I got an interview, and like, it was the first interview I had to leave the job before I had to. So I was going to do whatever I had to in order to make this like interview work, to make this job work. So the person interviewing me only had one question, and it was, you're not afraid to ask for money, are you? No, I'm all good for asking for money. So guess what? Every single client I had, or every single potential client I had walked in that door, I asked for money, and I had no compunction about it, because like I need the salary, I need to pay for my bills. And so that was the end of it for me. For a lot of other people though, maybe they're already getting a salary somewhere else. They got a job, or they have family helping support them, or savings. So when it comes to actually asking for the money, they get a little like wormy inside. They're like, what if they think about this, or what if it's too much? Or like, there's so many excuses. Okay. It doesn't matter, because if you get the potential customer to the point that they felt the pain of whatever situation they have, they understand emotionally that your solution is the best solution. It's the solution that they can get the quickest and the most efficiently at the moment. And it's the right one for them. I think I said that, but whatever. It's got to be the right one for them for this particular situation. They're going to want to go, okay. But if you don't say, all right, well, that'll be $29.99, they're just going to sit there with a smile on their face going, I said, okay, now what? What am I supposed to do? That, like, most people don't like actually go through the process of like, okay, what do I need to do to finish the sale? Like, give it to me. They're just going to tell themselves that this is something that they need, and they'll move on with their day, continuing to think that it's something that they need. And they'll go home and they'll tell their spouse, I saw this amazing product today. It's something that we really could use. And the spouse will go, oh yeah, that sounds fantastic. We should definitely do that sometime. And sometime never comes, because no one's going to ask them. You have to ask. It's called, you have to ask for the close. All right. So you go through this process. Once you've gotten to the close, you take the money somehow, whether it's a credit card or cash or check or PayPal, you got to get their money. Okay. Once you get their money, you absolutely have to provide the thing that you just sold. If you do not provide it, you very well could go to jail. I'm not an attorney. Talk to an attorney. They'll tell you whether or not you're going to go to jail. You most likely will go to jail, though, in my personal opinion, because that's called fraud in most situations. So you go through this process Identify the people or thing that you're selling to, people you're selling to, or the thing that you're selling, either vice versa. Okay. Once you figure it out, you then present it to them in a way that arouses their emotional interest in that thing, that gets them hot and bothered and decide that this is the thing that will solve the issues in my life. You ask them for the money, or you ask them for the money, and then you give the thing to them when they hand you the money. Okay. It's like a trade. All right. And then what you do is you provide customer service. Now that's a little separate, because at this point you could technically walk away like, I got my cash, you got your thing, I don't need it. Here's the thing, though, and the thing that I think the publishers and the developers have figured out in the gaming space that not many other people have figured out. Once somebody is already your customer, it is much easier to sell them something else. Okay, think of it this way: Epic gives away Fortnite for free, right? It's a free-to-play game. They make a ton of money on it. How is that? How is it that a game that is free to play makes so much money? And you all know the answer. They sell currency, they sell skins, they sell stuff, right? Well, they would never have been able to sell that stuff unless a player was already a quote customer, someone already using the service that they're providing. Okay. I don't play Fortnite. I have honestly no interest in being blasted by 10-year-olds and 13-year-olds who are going to be far better at the game than I am, who've had years and years of experience on it. And I just have no interest, right? Epic is not going to sell me a skin. Unless they came up with a Gamerpreneur skin, I'm probably not buying it, right? So because I'm not a customer, I'm not going to be a further customer for them. So keep that in mind. It's not always the first sale that you make to someone that's going to make you most of your money off of that person. It very well could be the follow-up sales. There's a saying that's fortune is in the follow-up. Okay. So if you can find a way to sell somebody something who's already purchased from you, you're more likely to make money than having to hunt down another new customer. Okay. So that is a sales system. It's a process. All right. And there's all manner of other things you could do in there. Okay. That's kind of the framework of how this all works. You could do phone calls. You could do LinkedIn lead generation. You could do Facebook Messenger generation. You could do Facebook ads, Twitter ads, YouTube ads. You can do Google ads. You can do banner ads on websites. You can do radio ads. You can do newspaper ads and yellow pages. And there's a gajillion different ways you can get yourself in front of people. Once you're in front of them, you have to create a conversation with them, right? So if they hear about your ad on the television, well, there's no button on the TV that they can click to go to your sign up page to purchase, right? You have to direct them to somewhere. And once you direct them to that somewhere, they have to be able to go through and complete the sale. Or like, as an example, maybe you're selling personal services. Well, if you're selling personal services, you probably have to get on the phone with them. Okay. You actually have to tell them a little bit about who you are and why you're better than everybody else, and go through this process of selling them just in a different medium than maybe online. So the thing that you're selling, the way that you're doing it, it's a unique snowflake, but it really isn't. There's only so many ways that you can put all these little Lego pieces together that is sales. And once you figure out the way that works for you, you just continue it. Okay, until you realize you need a better system because you're running out of time to manage it all and fulfill, or you just dump more money in, right? Like if you got one that you get a kick back and like, oh, my ads are taking care of it all. I got staff taking care of it all. I got this taken care of. I just rake in the cash. Find a way to dump more money in, right? Because that's the solution for you. So that's what I want to talk about today. The sales cycle, the sales system that just no one seems to really understand or appreciate, at least as far as I'm aware here in the gaming space. It's really just this kind of mad rush to get stuff in front of people, and then, well, why is nobody buying? Well, you may not really know what you're doing here. Like, did you do any market research before you just started throwing ads in front of people? Maybe, who knows? So I'm going to remind you all, organization is the enemy of sloth. Write this out. Like literally take a pen and paper and draw this out. That way you can stick it on your wall and look at it and go, you know what? Step 1, I've got. Step 2, I'm a little iffy on. Step 3, I've got. So this week I'm going to focus on step 2. All right. having an actual picture will allow you to comprehend in a different way how your sales system works, how you are approaching people, what the different steps are. You'll be able to see kind of where things are falling through. It's called a sales funnel. Okay. Sales funnel is like you have a funnel, like the stuff goes in the top and then it comes down to only a small amount comes out the bottom, but that small amount should be paying customers. Okay. So lots of people come in at the top, paying customers come out the bottom. So figure this stuff out. This is so important. This really could be something that changes your business, changes your life if you figure out how this all works. All right. Beautiful. Man, I was heated on this one. This was fun. Don't be just a gamer, be a gamerpreneur.